All right, welcome back, everybody. As promised, I bring you SpooknJukes in this interview in the latest series where I talk to content creators, focus on Dead by Daylight. SpooknJukes is a partner Twitch streamer and recently hit 100K subscribers on YouTube. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
His pronouns are he, him. SpooknJukes, welcome to the show, and thanks for doing this. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about I'd like to start at like day one, like in terms of gaming. What first got you into gaming? Like, were you a little kid playing like Sega or Nintendo or
Yeah,
what?
my first system was the Nintendo 64.
Okay,
I played a little bit of Sega on a friend of mine. My friend of mine had a Sega. I played some Sonic and stuff, but mostly it was the 64. I played a lot of GoldenEye, Mario
oh nice,
64, Turok. I played quite a
oh
bit
nice,
of Mario Party. I played Paper Mario, all the Mario games I was really into.
yeah.
And then yeah, I just never stopped. I was really into PlayStation. Big game in my childhood was Spyro on the
Hmm.
PlayStation 1. And yeah, just kept going from there.
Oh, that's awesome. I remember Mario Party. I had a really embarrassing story where, Mario Party is a perfect game. You get together with your friends, you play a bunch. And one of my friends was like, I won, I won. He took credit for my win, and it was Princess Peach who won. And I
Oh.
was like, no, I'm the princess. I won. I'm the princess. So for the next year, everybody called me princess.
You were the princess, yeah.
That's really
That's great.
embarrassing. Yeah, it was really embarrassing. So did you have you mentioned you had some friends you played with? Is that who you had to fight with for gaming time on your systems? Yeah.
Well, I mean, I played mostly, it was just single player stuff. I didn't have any um really any competition at home
Okay.
for games. But yeah, as I think it was the original Xbox that came out, and Halo 2, I think, was the first multiplayer game I played where you could play against other players
Oh yeah.
online. And then I got the 360, and then it was Halo 3 and Call of Duty and Left 4 Dead, that kind of stuff. And I was always bouncing between those online games, and then I did play a lot of single player like Skyrim and Fallout.
Okay.
I like those kind of open world games too,
Yeah.
quite a lot.
Cool.
And yeah, after the 360, I switched over to PS4 and been back on PlayStation ever since.
Yeah, the rest is history, right from there.
Yeah,
So you survived the Halo and Call of Duty lobbies.
I did. Yeah, I always thought it was funny, and I mean, I did my fair amount of trolling. I never got into
Yeah.
like the toxic shit. I think the worst things that I said to people were really bad "your mom" jokes, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was goofy. It was just something to laugh at back in the day, and I to this day I still laugh at it here in DBD. So
Oh right. Yeah, I know. I think in a lot of ways you get it worse than PC gamers, I would say, because like a friend of mine, she plays on Xbox, and she'll get invited to parties, and I've seen you even have YouTube videos where you show that you get invited to a party, and then they're like,
yeah,
"You fucking suck! I hate you! You're bad!"
it's the
Like,
greatest thing. I mean, it's one thing to have somebody in a little end game chat, you know, calling you trash and whatever, but when they invite you to an actual party and you hear this other human being just shouting at you over a video game, it's a whole new entertainment there.
oh, totally.
It's so yeah, definitely. I would say console definitely has an upper hand as far as that goes.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, they don't realize it at the time, but they're giving you really good content to work with. And I think that what you do with that kind of content is a really beautiful thing, because most of us, we get really upset. We'll be like, oh man, those guys were jerks, and oh, my feelings are hurt. But like you just turn it around back on them, and you're like, hey, thanks for the free content on YouTube.
Yeah, I think the best way to handle that stuff is just to make it, you know, make it look as silly as it is, because it really is silly. And I
Yeah.
always think about that after the fact, where I'm like, I wonder if these people, like, you know, after they cool down and, you know, wake up the next day, if they're like, man, that's kind of embarrassing the way that I just invited that random stranger to a party to
Yeah.
scream all sorts of just profanities at them because they played a certain way in a game. Like, I feel like a lot of them are probably a little embarrassed, whether they like to admit it or not.
have you heard back from many people who were on one of your videos and they're like, "Oh, yeah, you got me," or did
I
they double down on stuff or
No, it's I'd say probably 90% of the time they double down, but
mhm.
it has happened where some people be like, "Hey, I was in a video of yours, 6 months ago, and looking back on it, it's pretty funny. I definitely acted, goofy and whatever." And
Yeah.
it's always chill.
Oh, yeah.
I don't hold any grudges against these people. It's just goofy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I told you just before we started recording and in the initial email I sent you when we first set this up, I was like, "You know, I had some really bad behavior when I played this game in the beginning, and I was kind of a jerk. And I was like, man, the last thing I want to do is end up in one of SpooknJukes' like compilation videos of like salty streamer gets mad, rage quits, and calls them bad and insults their mother and insults their dog and stuff like that. It's just at the end of the day, it's
Yeah.
Dead by Daylight. What do we have to gain other than maybe blood points? There's really not much to gain at the end of every trial, right?
No, yeah, I totally agree. I think it's you feel some type of way in the moment, but you know when you reflect on it, it's goofy behavior, and depending on how extreme it is, it can be pretty pathetic. Obviously, it depends on the how extreme it is, but
Oh yeah,
um, yeah, I think if you do end up in a video like that, it's the best thing you can do is try to look at it from the perspective of the person on the receiving end, or you know what I mean, to
yeah.
be like, oh yeah, I was kind of a dick, and maybe I shouldn't have said all of that stuff because I died in a video game, and
Oh yeah, yeah,
so but unfortunately, a lot of people can't look at it that way. They're just in the right all the time, which is fair.
yeah, yeah. I just want to rewind just a second here because there are some people listening or maybe watching on YouTube who maybe haven't seen your content before. Some of those people
Hmm.
hiding under a rock, but yeah, Spook and Jukes. I would say, what's it about? Been the last year or two? You've been kind of some of your content focuses on calling out entitled survivors being very rude or entitled killers being very rude to somebody, and they
Hmm.
take it to like a really weird personal level. Like they'll go into somebody's chat and really just let them have it. And I think you first landed on my radar. uh I can't remember the guy's name, but he went through some really tough personal times. And then this group like came and got really upset with him, and he ended his
Yeah,
stream.
it might have. Yeah, it was. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
His mom had passed away, and they came
that's
in
right.
and they started mocking him for his mom passing away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like over Dead by Daylight. Like
Yep.
that is not cool. Like that's just it's ridiculous. It's disgusting, and
Yeah. And that's why I make the videos, and I'm really happy that I made that video because
mhm.
the streamer that was in the video, Spanky Jinko, I think is,
Yeah, that's
uh,
right. Yeah.
yeah, got a ton of support, and there's
Hmm.
actually a Twitch partner now. So
Oh wow, that's
yeah,
amazing. That's wicked. Yeah, and I've popped into his streams a few times now.
very
Especially
nice person.
really amazing person, really really nice person,
Mhm.
and just deserves all the love and support. And
Yeah.
in that video was I thought very professional and um handled it about as well as he could given the circumstances. And not all of us can understand what that's like, but
Hmm.
yeah, that was something where I was like, okay, yeah, this guy's he's a cool guy. I think I get his stuff now. And yeah, that
Thank
was
you.
amazing. How does it feel to like when you because you're putting yourself out there, you're putting very strong opinions together. You also back them up really well with evidence of we'll just paint broad strokes. People being really rude and nasty. They'll say
Hmm.
things that are straight up violate TOS of Twitch. Like, how does it feel to put yourself out there and then deal with the backlash of that person's community and people saying you shouldn't be doing this? Like, is that a struggle at all, or
It is, yeah. I
yeah?
A lot of people don't know it, but I get a ton of anxiety anytime I post any video like that, or like while I'm making it, while I'm editing it, especially like the moments coming up to posting it, I get a lot of anxiety because like even if the person did say some really awful stuff, I still think about, God, I still don't really want people going and harassing them. I don't want people like shitting on them. And then I also, like you said, think about the backlash from them and their community. But at the end of the day, like when I make these videos, it's always in defense of somebody who was on the receiving end of harassment or something. So
Yeah.
I always remind myself, like, okay, number one, I'm defending this person, I'm standing up for this person, I'm using my platform for that. And that will in turn give them, a lot of hopefully love and support. And then on the flip side, it also just sort of shows a situation like that from an outside perspective where, like you said, as someone who maybe acts a certain way and you don't realize the effect it might have on somebody. Because I get
Hmm.
those comments all the time where they're like, yeah, I used to be an asshat in this game. And then, I watched a few of your videos and I was like, wow, you know what? Maybe I'm actually being a dick.
Hmm.
And, so that's the other kind of reason behind it, is if somebody can watch a video and be like, oh, wow, I don't want somebody to have a mental breakdown because I made fun of, a family member who passed away or something, all because I died in a video game.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
people might just self-reflect a little bit. And but yeah, in terms of this, it does stress me out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do think about it. And so as far as dealing with the backlash, I guess I just sort of roll with it. I'm
Hmm.
definitely one of those people that has sort of split you either love me or you hate me. I guess I have a
That's
lot of people.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things I have written down here as well. It seems like you can be a polarizing figure in the community, and I don't know how much weight do you put on that appearance, or that, at least like the way people interpret your content and who you are as a person, like.
Well, so what's interesting is there's people who dislike me for different reasons. So there's the people who dislike me because of the way that I play the game, whether it's Basement Bubba, or because I camp and tunnel, or I advocate for playing how you want to. If you're trying to win, or if you're just trying to do whatever, meme around, just play the game how you want. You paid for it. Who cares?
Hmm.
Not everybody has a fun time every match. If you don't, move on to the next one. It'll probably be better if your headspace is fine. But people don't like that I, don't follow these rules a lot. And I don't do it as Survivor either, which is interesting. I actually
Oh.
posted a video where I got killer salt for one of the first times, and they had told me to end myself.
Oh, wow.
And in the video, I teabag 2 times,
Hmm.
and because I did that, the comments are filled with people saying, "Oh yeah, but you teabagged," or "Oh yeah, but you crouched." And that's, if that is not the Dead by Daylight community
Yeah.
like summed up, of like, "Oh yeah, this person told you to end yourself, but you did crouch up and down a couple of times, so you were obviously toxic too." It's like, dude,
Yeah.
it's pretty silly. But anyway, so yeah, I have a lot of people that dislike me for playing the game a certain way, and then I also have this other side of, oh, you do cancel culture, you just call people out and you just want to create drama and cancel people and this and that, which, I mean, you can't really win with that. I don't really agree that my videos are cancel culture, first of all, because I don't name the people 95% of the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not trying to cancel anybody. It's more about talking about the behavior and the effect that it has on people. And the people's names that I do drop are the ones who had bad things said to them or happened to them, and then I try to send love their direction.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't look at it as cancel culture, because it's kind of like standing up to a bully. I try to tell people, like, if you saw a kid getting bullied in school and you went up and you stood up for them, it's not like you're trying to cancel the bullies, or
Oh, yeah.
it's like you're just, there's
Yeah.
somebody being a dickhead and you're standing up for them. It's
Yeah.
just plain and simple. But
I think there's a very big difference between, like, quote unquote cancel culture and holding somebody accountable. And
yeah, the
I've
thing is
always.
to me, cancel culture is when you don't let somebody change for something. Like,
Yeah.
cancel culture to me is, somebody said something 10 years ago when they were a teenager, and then you bring it up, when in their 20s or 30s, you're like, oh, look, they're a racist or they're homophobic. And it's like,
Hmm.
no, they were just young and cringy and edgy, but
Hmm.
they grew up and they changed. It's like that's cancel culture to me. It's when you don't give anybody the opportunity to change or to move forward.
Yeah.
Whereas opposed to if you're just calling out behavior, I mean, I've always said, the people that I talk about in my videos, if they change, if they apologize and stuff, I've taken down like numerous videos of mine that have had hundreds of thousands of views because the people have apologized to the people they were shitty to, or they
Hmm.
rebranded and wanted to be better. So I've
Yeah.
taken down a ton of those videos, which could have just been more views and more ad revenue, but I don't
Yeah.
care about that because I
Yeah.
care more about the value, my values that go into making these videos. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
it is what it is.
I think that's very respectable because, like in terms of the content you've put out there, I did notice there was one person in particular, and going through your YouTube videos, you said I took down the video for this person, and you talked about, I think you talked a little bit about why, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if every YouTuber would be comfortable doing that, taking down videos that have big views and could potentially bring you in more revenue, but like you said, it's more about the value you're providing and the content versus leaving something up that's maybe a little bit dated. And
Yeah, well, that's the last thing that I want is to post a video about some behavior that somebody had, and then they go, "Oh yeah, you're right. I was a shithead, and now I want to move forward and be better." And then it would just suck for me to leave that video up forever. And so while this person is becoming a better person and doing this, and they're more positive, they're still going to have new people that see these videos and they're going to think they're still like that, and then they're going to be like, hey, why are you an asshole? And they're like, no, it's old. So it's just one of those things where
yeah.
it's like, if you're making an effort and you're changing, I don't want to have that bad image for you.
Oh,
So
totally. Yeah, that makes sense. I just wanted to talk a little bit about like when you transition from, working full time to becoming a full time content creator. How did that
mhm.
feel? That's a big accomplishment. That's got to be a big change for your family too.
It was crazy, and the timing was incredible. I talked about it in my 100,000 subscriber video, but it was I went full time right when my daughter was born, which was crazy because we had been busting our butts to get a good chunk in savings so that when my daughter was born, we'd be good. And because my wife works in healthcare, or in the medical field, but she didn't get paid maternity leave, which is kind of crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it was like 3 months of unpaid leave, and so it was just going to
Hmm.
be whatever we had in savings, and then me working, which was waiting tables.
Hmm.
And then I got to a point right when she was about to be born where I was making the same amount doing content creation that I was waiting tables. So I was like, oh, this is perfect because now I can just do this at home
Hmm.
instead of having to leave and go work double shifts and whatever and leave you here with the baby. Um, so it was just perfect, and I just really lucky, honestly, and it's just grown from there. And my wife works part time now, and I'm just doing this full time.
That's awesome. Were there, when you were waiting tables, were there any stories that really stood out? You're like, wow, that person was crazy. That person was a little entitled, salty customer, maybe.
Oh man, dude, there's a lot. Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
I was, yeah, waiting tables is crazy. I always try to like tip like 30%.
Yeah.
Even if the service is like subpar, I'm just
Hmm.
like, look, I know what you go through. Um, but yeah, I guess the one thing I could think of is there was it's like a high school that came in for like a hockey game or something, and one of
Hmm.
the coaches was like belligerent drunk, and then walked out without paying the bill,
Oh
and
wow.
then the waitress whose table it was went out with the receipt, which you're not supposed to do that as a server. You're supposed to just let it go
Wow.
because you don't want to have any lawsuits or whatever. But
Okay.
she'd been working there for like 15 years, and she just was like fed up,
Hmm.
like at the end of a shift or whatever. So she went out there and was like, hey, like, you need to come in here and pay this bill. And then he like went up and like started to like put hands on her
Oh
in front
wow.
of this school bus of like kids.
Wow.
He didn't like punch or anything, but he like got in her face and like put his
Yeah.
finger right in her face and stuff like that.
Oh,
And they ended up calling the cops and he got arrested.
wow.
But yeah, that was probably the craziest thing that I saw. Just is crazy to think. I don't even know if he had his job after that, because I would imagine it probably stains your reputation as a high school coach
Oh, totally.
if you're going around doing that in front of the kids. So
That's pretty disgusting.
yeah,
It's unbelievable. My brother used to be a chef, and the stories he told me, it was just like, where do these people come from? Like, where did they get off on this weird entitlement? And
dude, yeah, I think about it. I was like, there's a lot of entitled people in Dead by Daylight, but also there's a lot of entitled people just in the real world, just in general. Because yeah, you do get that a lot when, especially in the service industry or even
Mhm.
even in retail,
Oh
just
yeah,
people that come in and they just feel entitled to everything, and it's very just makes you cringe.
oh totally. I just wanted to touch on really quickly, like I saw in a video a little while back where somebody kind of made attacks about your parenthood and your responsibilities and
Mm.
commented in a really negative way. So I was like wondering, how do you defend yourself in that situation, and how do you protect your family at the same time? Like that's got to be really tough, because from what I've seen, you're very open and you do share quite a bit. And where do you draw that line, I guess, is my question.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to. I think it was
Hmm.
the shortbread video,
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean that was just it's just silly, petty, and low to lie about somebody and then to talk about how they must be as a parent and stuff like that. And I mean, you know, it's probably one of the main reasons I made the video, because I was like, all right,
Oh yeah.
listen, you fucker. Like you want to, like
Yeah.
you want to talk shit. I'm gonna call out your bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what happened there. And uh, um, yeah, I mean, I guess it's part of just being um somebody that has an audience or eyes on them. You're going to have people say shit about you. I mean, anybody who watches my streams or anything knows that I love my kids very much. My daughter Hank like just pops in on stream all the time before
Oh
bed,
yeah.
and
Right on.
it's very cute. But yeah, as far as what I show, I do have people that are like, oh, why do you show pictures of your kids? And it's like, well, I should be able to. I mean,
Oh
people
yeah.
show pictures of their kids. Like I know there's weird
Hmm.
people on the internet, but
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not posting where I live or anything. I'm just trying to share. I think I have a beautiful family and I like to show it off, and they make me
Yeah.
happy and makes me
Oh
happy to post
totally.
stuff. So yeah, but I do think about it, and we've talked about it, and there's even posts, from on our Instagram that we've taken down from like when we
Okay.
bought our house and stuff like that, and we both
Yeah.
privated our Facebooks just to be extra safe, because we've had some weird shit happen.
Oh yeah. I
Um,
don't doubt it. Yeah.
people being creepy that we've worried about maybe getting swatted or
Hmm.
something, but we've also contacted contacted the law enforcement and stuff around here, and they know what I
Hmm.
do, so they're
Oh,
also
that's good.
aware, because
Yeah.
people have threatened to swat me before. So
Wow.
I've already covered the ground there, so I'm not really too worried. Plus, I have two dogs, and one of them is a big German Shepherd. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, she will literally eat anybody alive that were to try to do anything, which is always nice.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'll cancel my plans to attack your backyard there.
Yeah, don't
That
do
dog
it.
sounds scary.
She's a vicious one. I mean, she's a sweetheart, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit about your YouTube, because a little while back we mentioned your 100K subscriber mark and
Mhm.
the video you posted about that. I noticed, like, when you first started your YouTube channel, I was looking at some of your earlier videos. It was like, good survivor builds and good killer builds. And then, um, was there any one video that kind of catapulted you to the next level of YouTube?
It
Or was it a
was.
series?
I mean, it wasn't like a specific series. It was just the salt videos.
Hmm.
Like the one where there's an early one where I got invited to a PlayStation party. That one did well. Just any of the ones where I was getting salty messages or voice messages. There's another one where this person was sending me voice messages on PlayStation, just all that kind of stuff. And those kind of encounters are what made me start my YouTube channel to begin with,
Yeah.
because anytime I had an interaction like that, I thought it was just the goofiest thing. And I was like, man, when I watched YouTube back in the day, I used to watch, hate mail compilations for gaming because I just thought they were
Oh
funny as
yeah.
hell. So I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
man, I'm like living what I used to think was entertaining, So I'm like, I bet if I post this, some people will probably get a kick out of it, and then they can, share experiences they've had with people who are salty, and that's just sort of what, you know, took it
Yeah.
off. And yeah.
That's cool. So you went from watching that content to being
There
on like
was
the
also
driver's
the
seat too.
Yeah, there was also the I do that series. I haven't posted one in a while, but it's the trolling TTVs as the baby survivor. I do
Oh
that.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that. That also helped grow the channel quite a bit
Hmm.
because people got a kick out of those.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen some of those. Those are really entertaining. Um how many suggestions would you say you receive for like, hey, I found this guy or this girl, this person who's really rude and nasty, and like how do you go about like going, okay, I'll make a video on this person, or how do
Yeah,
you
I
decide?
get a lot of them.
Yeah.
I get a lot. Yeah, and I I try to look at as many as I can. I really do. I kind of like have a routine where I'll sit down some mornings and just check my emails and have breakfast and just kind of getting started in the day. And I'll check what people are saying. And if I see something that really catches my eye, as like, man, that was really nasty, or man, I feel bad for this person. I want to stick up for them, or I don't, just anything like that, or maybe something new I haven't talked about. A lot of
Hmm.
that kind of stuff stands out to me. But yeah, I get a lot of stuff that I ignore too, where it's like, oh, this
Okay.
person called me a trash killer. It's like, all right, it's not really the end of the
That's pretty
world.
average, right?
Yeah, I mean
It's
that
like
doesn't
every
really
game ever.
that's not even like really a personal insult, like
Yeah.
to real life. They're just saying trash killer, and it's a lot of stuff like that where it's just people kind of being mildly salty, which is also, it's still entertaining, but it's not
Yeah.
something I'm going to make a video on where somebody called you a trash killer, because that's not anything super crazy or extreme. But I
Yeah.
feel like that's something you should post on your own channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I think about a lot because like I see a lot of that on TikTok and YouTube, like, and that's another reason why I kind of changed my strategy for how I behave while I'm playing on stream, is especially it's like, I went up against this salty TTVer and this is his reaction, and they show the POV of the survivor like running a killer around Killer Shack, and they cut to the killer, and the killer's going, oh, this fucking Meg, oh my god, she had dead heart. I'm so pissed off. I'm gonna get her, and like, it's
Yeah,
so
that I know, and that's the stuff that's silly, where it's like that's just them talking about the game and their
yeah.
frustration about the game. It's not the
Hmm.
same thing, and there's actually a misconception there that people have with my content. Is those I get some comments that are like, God, you just think nobody should ever be mad and everybody should just smile and say great game after every match and just be happy about everything. It's like, no, I get
No.
frustrated. I get tilted. I get pissed off when I play sometimes. It's natural, especially if you're a competitive person and you want to win. Like that's normal. But what's not normal is when you take it to the next level and you're like you said, going to people's chats, like
Hmm.
mocking their viewers, saying slurs or whatever it is,
Yeah.
mocking them in any sense. It's like that's just where it's not necessary. But
Oh, totally.
when people try to act like the in-game stuff, like, oh, this fucking Meg, God, dead hard, ugh,
Yeah.
that's just griping about the game. Everybody
Oh yeah.
gripes, everybody does that. And so yeah, I think it's a little bit silly when people act like that's the end of the world.
Oh, totally. Now, just one more bit. I was curious about with like the salty videos you put together. Like, how much time and research and like time do you have to put into like editing that too? And do you write notes? You write a script? Like, I'm curious about your process behind that.
So usually when people reach out, they give me specific timestamps. So it's not like I have to really do a ton of a ton of research when it's that sort of thing.
Hmm.
The shortbread thing was a little bit more research, but again, that also was people reaching out to me about them as well. Um, but for a script, I usually write like a loose script for the beginning or the intro of like generally what I'm going to say, and like
Hmm.
sort of like a almost like a timeline of how like what order I want to talk about things, and then I will watch the clips and then say what I'm thinking about them, which I've already thought about, but I just say
Oh
it
yeah.
while I'm recording. So there's not
Hmm.
like a word for word script, but I do sort of frame it,
Yeah.
how I want it to go, so it's in the timeline of how I want the video to go, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, and it's really well structured. Like I gotta say, like it's you know, I haven't tried putting stuff together like that, but it's all just so well organized. And I think that's a big reason why people really enjoy your content and like the way you put it together. Because I've seen other videos from other people. I'm not going to name names or anything, but people who will do something similar, but it just doesn't feel as structured, and it's just as a result not as entertaining or not as
Yeah,
funny to
I
watch.
do have a process too where I often like I rarely post these videos without like I usually send them to my brother.
Okay. Okay.
uh,
Yeah.
um, I send them to my brother and I'm like, hey, like check this out. Let me know what you think. And there's been videos where he's been like, I don't think this is really worth making a video about, and I don't post it because I'm like,
Okay.
yeah. And then there's videos that I've made where they're like 35 minutes long, and he's like, yeah, that's a good video, but I think you can easily shave 10 minutes off this because you repeat yourself a lot. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
okay.
cool.
So then I'll like go and cut out a bunch of parts to make it more condensed.
Hmm.
So that's super helpful to be able to get that feedback. And so there's that bit of a process because, yeah, a lot of my videos would be longer, I think, if I didn't try to take that extra
Yeah.
process at the end.
Oh, totally. Have you ever gone to your wife and been like, check this out? Like, does she relate to any of this at all?
Yeah,
Or
no,
yeah,
she's watched them too. I mean, she doesn't know a ton about Dead by Daylight, so if it's that kind of stuff, she's kind of doesn't really get a lot of the terminology. I mean, she knows generally a lot of it, but
yeah.
in terms of the shortbread situation, she was very much invested in that one because of talking about our kids and talking
Yeah.
about so
You
she
as a parent and husband, yeah.
yeah
That
no
was out of
yeah
bounds.
no yeah it was funny when it came to making up the follow-up video. She did not want me to make a second video, and I
Hmm.
like I didn't plan on it, and then there was just so many clips of him saying all this stuff
Yeah.
about us, and then just lying, and she just at one point was like, just make the damn video.
Oh,
and
that's
I was
awesome.
and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make the video.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
yeah, so I definitely talked to her about stuff as well before.
That's cool. It's funny because I'll show my wife some stuff and she'll be like, I don't understand. She doesn't play the game at all and doesn't watch my streams. And
Yeah.
one night as we're getting ready for bed, she was like, what's barbecue and chili? And I'm like, oh, it's just this killer perk in Dead by Daylight. She's like, because you say it a lot during your streams. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll monitor that. Monitor and abuse that. It was really silly.
I know. I'll tell you what, my wife definitely knows what camping means. She knows what
Yeah.
tunneling means. She knows what NOED is. She knows all the terms that are talked about a lot and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
that's great.
yeah.
Before we dive any further into like the game and content creation and stuff, I wanted to talk about in your background. I see there's like a lot of music instruments, and I was in your stream the other day, and I think you were listening to your band's music. Do you want to talk
hmm
about your music and?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been I don't really. It's not something I've always super hard promoted on with SpooknJukes, but
Mm-hmm.
I talk about it here and there because I've been in the band for I think our first single came out almost 9 years ago, so
Oh,
it's
cool.
coming up on a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, the band's called Villain of the Story.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's been a grind. I think we're probably the most successful now that we've been. I think we have 331,000 monthly listeners on Spotify.
Oh, that's wicked.
Yeah, so we're definitely we're signed to a label now as well, and
Oh, cool.
so yeah, it's awesome. I sing in the band,
Okay.
and my brother and I, the brother that I send
Yeah.
videos to, he's in the band as well. Me and him sort of run the band and do everything and write all the music, and I do also play drums just
Cool.
for fun. I played
Yeah.
drums. My brother and I have been doing music together since we were like 10. So our
Hmm.
first high school band we were in, I was the drummer, he was the guitarist.
Okay.
And then I don't really play piano. There's a piano behind me. My son is learning piano right now,
Okay.
but I can do a little bit by ear. Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
awesome.
it's fun. That was originally the first like career path that I wanted to do after graduating
Ah,
high school, was I wanted to be a musician.
yeah.
And then I've just always been doing it on the side and trying to pursue it while, waiting tables and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
so it's just been sort of a dream. And now I do streaming and YouTube, but I still do the band on the side and just waiting
Oh,
to see
that's
if,
awesome.
yeah, waiting to see if it ever just skyrockets or anything. But right now we're
Yeah.
just sort of, steady, sort of underground still. But
Hmm. Oh, that's great. What genre are you guys playing?
it's like a mix of hard rock, metal, metalcore. Like some of it's really heavy and some of it is
Hmm.
like more radio friendly,
Yeah.
where it's just singing. So we really try to have a mix for people. Our more radio friendly stuff has been doing more more popular, or doing better numbers, I should say. So
Hmm.
we have been sort of focusing harder on that and doing a little bit less heavy stuff, but we still do the heavy stuff.
Yeah.
So
You know what you guys need? You just need one hit to go big on TikTok, and that's it. It'll be
I
just like,
we've talked about that. We've
yeah.
talked about that. Yeah, we just need one. Just need the one.
Yeah, just one that's catchy enough where the girls and boys can dance,
Yeah,
like do the
you just get
TikTok
a dance
dancing.
going. Yep.
One dance, it's all it takes.
I know. We're trying to find that one golden ticket song that we can get a TikTok out of.
Well, I wish you all the best on that.
Yeah.
On the topic of music, I don't know if you watch music documentaries at all, but I watched one recently. I think it's called Count Me In, and it's
Mm.
about drummers and um, Taylor Hawkins is in it. Rest in peace, the
Yeah.
drummer from
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. Yeah, he's in it. Um, I'm blanking out on names, but it's really good. I recommend you check it out.
It's on Netflix, or what's it
It's
on?
on Netflix in
Oh,
Canada
cool.
here. It's called
Oh,
Count Me In,
okay. Yeah, I'll
and
check it
yeah,
out. I
it's
haven't.
about yeah, it's about drummers who just talk about, like, talk about John Bonham and how John Bonham, like, kind of inspired them to become drummers. And Taylor Hawkins talked about his how, like, his friend got him to sit on the drums and he got him playing, and he told his story. He's like, yeah, you're a fucking drummer, dude, because he just instantly just meshed with it. And I was like,
It's
it's such a
awesome.
beautiful story, but it's so hard to watch because he's not with us anymore, right?
I know.
So
Feel
it's
the same
real.
way, like watching old interviews of Chester Bennington and stuff like that from
Yeah.
Lincoln Park. I'm just like,
Oh,
oh,
right. It's
God.
tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really tough. um so yeah, just wanted to talk about that, like, music stuff real quick before we dive more into, like, content creation and Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
Now there are some people who will be listening who are, they're streamers themselves or
Mhm.
aspire to be content creators. What advice would you give to the people who want to, like, take it to the next step in terms of creating their content?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot, and I always tell people my biggest advice is just to um, have different platforms that you're making content on. So
Hmm.
like if you want to be a Twitch streamer, don't just stream on Twitch. Like have a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
post on your YouTube channel, have a Twitter, have a TikTok, have other things that you're posting on, because my Twitch wouldn't have grown if it wasn't for my YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, once you have two platforms that are growing, they just feed each other.
Hmm.
So I would always say that you can have one that you're putting the most of your energy into, but you should always be and be active on social media too. One thing that I did really early on too was I would turn on, like, this is way when I didn't have very many followers on Twitter. I turned on the notifications for the Dead by Daylight Twitter account,
Okay.
and anytime they would tweet anything, I would
Hmm.
always try to be the first one to go in and say something funny or relatable or snarky or goofy. so
Oh.
that people would like my tweets,
Mhm.
and then I would like go and follow people, and so that they
Ah.
would follow me back. It's just kind of one of those,
Oh, yeah.
one of those hustle games. Like you got to kind of do stuff like that, or
Self-marketing, right?
yeah, early on
Yeah.
you got to do that to get your name out there. So
That's actually a really good strategy. I've been doing that a little bit, especially with like bigger accounts.
yeah,
If you have something insightful to say or even something dumb to say, it doesn't matter. Like as long as people are checking out your content, like one of my friends posted a clip of like just a bugged vault in the swamp, the big boat. It was just a bug. Like he vaulted over the window and he landed on the ledge below. Like you're not supposed to be able to end up there. And I said to him, I was like, reported, enjoy your ban. And
yeah.
that and that comment, it got like so much attention and so many people were like getting upset with me.
Oh
And
god,
it was like,
dude, people are so quick like that on Twitter, man. Twitter
yeah,
is one of those places. It's just full of extremes. People
yeah,
take everything seriously, everything personal on Twitter. I've any pretty much any drama that I've been involved in has been on Twitter. People
yeah.
just going nuts. I'll be like, yeah, I don't think Dead by Daylight is that competitive of a game. It's more of a casual game. And then the whole Dead by Daylight competitive scene comes out and is like, people can play the game how they want. We can play competitive. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't say that. All
Yeah,
I said was I don't think it's that competitive of a game at its core. I'm not saying you can't play tournaments, do what you want. Like it's
yeah,
just people just it's like they decide they want to take things personally, and
yeah.
they like to read it in this combative way that you didn't mean it at all. Kind
Hmm.
of like I'm sure with your tweet where you're just making a joke, but they think that you're saying that you should get banned for stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's just crazy, man. People just
yeah,
jump. They just jump,
yeah.
and then when it's like this bandwagon too. As soon as some people see other people fired up, then they're fired up, and then it just snowballs.
Oh yeah. I think the community, if and when this game Dead by Daylight does die, it'll be the due to the community because um
I'm surprised that it's made it this far with the community, and I hate to say that, but
yeah,
it's bad.
yeah, because I don't know if you follow Cope, but Cope released a video today talking about just how much the community, like, he loves the game Dead by Daylight, but maybe doesn't love the community the same way he loves the game, just because of like the things they say, and they'll straight up attack his viewers and stuff like that. It's just like
Yep.
over.
If it wasn't for the licensing deals that this game has gotten over the years, I think it would have not completely died, but it would be like super under the radar right now if it
Hmm.
wasn't for the licensing deals. And I think a lot of that would be the community. Like I think a lot of what brings people to the game are the huge licenses, and
Yeah.
which is awesome, and it's good for content creators like us, and stuff
Hmm.
who want to keep playing the game and keep talking about it. But man, if this game was just meant to thrive on original content and the community it has, I don't think it would thrive
Yeah.
super well.
Yeah,
It's rough.
it is rough. Like I think that anybody who's created content in Dead by Daylight, from the top of the list all the way to the bottom, I think at some point we all feel stuck and like really kind of like, and Cope talked about that a little bit too. Like he notices he'll go into friend streams and they'll be like, he'll see that they're visibly miserable, but if they stream something else, they're screwed because like the stats go down. And
Yep, I feel that all the time.
yeah, yeah, I was going
Yeah,
to ask you about that, like, because
yeah.
I looked in your stream pass and I've seen you streamed like within the last year. You've done some Elden Ring, like Dark Souls, VHS, and Visage and stuff. Like
Mhm.
how did it feel to stream something other than Dead by Daylight? Like, is that something you wish you could do more of?
Absolutely. I mean, before Dead by Daylight became my main game, I didn't have a genre. I didn't have a game. I just played whatever. I
Hmm.
mean, I Dark Souls, that whole genre is my favorite of all time. Dark Souls is my favorite game ever made. Bloodborne is my second favorite game ever made. I love that whole genre. I would love to just play those forever and not touch anything else. And if I could do that and stream it, I would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played a lot of. I would even play Fortnite. I would play um, The Forest and other
Hmm.
single player games, even Skyrim. And yeah, I've been dabbling a little bit again, just
Hmm.
because I just need to for my sanity. I've
Oh
even
yeah.
streamed. The games I've been playing offline with my friends lately have been Fortnite Zero Build. I don't like.
Oh yeah.
I didn't like Fortnite very much back in the day. I was really bad at it, but now that they did the Zero Build, it's really fun with friends.
Oh
And
totally.
then Rocket League is another one that I've been getting really into.
Okay.
I've been playing that off stream, so I've streamed both of those a couple times, but since October, I've been getting into some horror games too. I tried Phasmo
Hmm.
last night, which was fun.
Cool. That's
But yeah,
awesome.
but it is scary, like you said. Like you have a game, and that's what people know you for and
Yeah.
expect you to do. And when it's something you do for your job, and your stats are going to go down, your subs are going to,
Oh
you're not
yeah.
going to get as many subs, and
Yeah.
it's tough. But it's kind of what you have to do, especially if you want to get that audience of people who watches you for you and not the game.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
to do that sort of stuff. I probably will stay away from variety on my YouTube channel,
Hmm.
probably like indefinitely, unless it like got way bigger. But
Yeah.
I do want to do a second YouTube channel
Hmm.
that's dedicated to variety, and I want to actually put more attention to that, like on the side, so that I just can
Yeah.
keep my sanity, man. Because
Oh totally.
I really do struggle playing Dead by Daylight as often as
Yeah.
I do, and I don't touch this game unless I'm streaming it. Like I
Yeah.
don't play it for fun. I don't
Hmm.
play it with friends. I play it on stream, and people are like, "Hey, besides Dead by Daylight, what's your favorite game?" And Dead. I'm like, Dead by Daylight is not even in my top 10, maybe not even top 20 favorite games. I hate to
Yeah.
say it. Like
Yeah.
I hate to tell you that because I know you love Dead by Daylight, but it's
Yeah.
not what I'm. It's a job, and I do
Yeah.
love the game.
Oh
There's
yeah.
things I love about it. Sadly, I think the community has sort of ruined it a little bit for me
Hmm.
because it's hard to play the game and enjoy it when everyone just screams at you all the time.
Oh totally. I, I
But
w- I wanted to ask you a little bit about your relationship with Bubba because I know Bubba is a big part of your
mm,
content. Like, how did
yeah,
that start, and how did that evolve? And
so yeah, it was way back. I was doing build requests. This was before I was full time, and somebody requested that I do Basement Bubba, and I didn't even know what it was. I was like, Bubba. I was like, does that mean like do I use Insidious? And they're like, yeah, use Insidious and use Iron Grasp, Agitation. And I was like, okay.
hmm.
And then first game I did it, it was like a 4K in 3 to 4 minutes with two DCs. It was the easiest
Oh
4K I have ever gotten in my life,
yeah.
and I was just like, oh my god, like I just got a 4K by just standing there, and it's just really fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous and goofy. And then it just became one of those things where I dedicated one stream a week to it, and it was just this fun time where
Hmm.
so many funny moments of just survivors falling for it. And I would call it fishing because I put someone in the basement, and then I wouldn't stay down there. I would leave the basement, and I
Hmm.
would watch from a little bit of a distance,
Hmm.
and then if someone would go down, then they'd be nibbling on the worm, and then I would go in and try to catch the fish.
Oh.
And
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it was just a fun little game, and I still do Basement Bubba. I don't do it a full stream every week anymore, but
Hmm.
Bubba in general is also just my favorite killer in the
Oh
game.
yeah. Same
I
here. Yeah.
I love playing him. I love his kid. I feel like he's not overpowered. He's not underpowered. If you know how to
Hmm.
play him, he can be pretty decent.
Hmm.
And I think it's also nice because if you do get shit on, you can pretty much secure a kill by just face camping if you want to. So
That's
that's also,
true.
yeah, there's not
Yeah.
many killers that, when you get dunked on, you can just make sure that you get a kill. And Bubba's one of those killers. You can just make
Yeah.
sure that you get somebody, which is always a nice feeling. Like, well, if I get totally dunked on, then I
Hmm.
just can maybe secure one. And if they get altruistic, I can get a couple.
Oh totally. Yeah.
So yeah,
It.
it's funny too because I think there's some people who think that I love Bubba because of the movies and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
ironically, I'm not really into the movies
Okay.
so much.
Yeah.
I've actually never even seen the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've
Oh, you
seen
haven't, eh?
no,
Wow.
I've never seen the
Okay.
original. The one that stands out to me that I've seen the most is the 2003
Hmm.
remake with Jessica Biel or
Oh
Jessica
yeah.
Biel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Beal. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's Beale. Yeah, I've seen that one the most, and I haven't.
Yeah.
There's the new one on Netflix I haven't seen yet,
Hmm.
but but yeah, they think it's Halloween is actually my favorite
Right.
franchise for horror,
Hmm.
but Michael Myers is definitely not one of my favorites in the game to play.
Oh, he's just so underpowered, right? You're just like
Yeah,
they jump through a window. Oh man, I can't do shit.
yeah. Oh, I walked behind a rock and now I can't. It takes you so long to be able to walk faster. My biggest this is we're getting off topic, but my
Oh
biggest
yeah,
gripe with Myers is when you're stalking from a distance, it just doesn't work. Like
yeah.
you should be able to get up your stalk from a distance. Like if
Oh
that's
yeah.
the whole point of stalking. If I'm
Hmm.
looking at somebody from like up on a ledge and they're way down doing a gen,
Yeah.
I should be able to get fucking stalk from that.
Oh yeah.
But you have to be up in their face to get the most value, and it's like that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense because that's not if you're up in their face, you're not stalking them, you're just in their face.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the way it is in the original movie, right? Like he's
Yeah,
he's in like the school field watching Laurie from
yeah,
inside the
or down at the
classroom.
clothesline, looking up into the window. He
Exactly.
stalks from a distance.
Yeah.
But I've always said I have a hunch and I have a feeling that they're going to buff him. I can almost guarantee they're going to buff him, but then they're going to hammer his add-ons like crazy. Like they're
Hmm.
going to take out Infinite, they'll take out
Uh,
Tombstone. Tombstone they're going to take out, especially with this new Mori shit. I bet you they'll take it out
hmm.
eventually. I don't know how soon, and then they'll
Yeah.
probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of Scratch Mirror Myers too.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like if people are having too much fun, that's a behavior way. It's like, okay, let's get rid of it.
Yeah,
what do
I
you
just
what are your thoughts on the proposed changes? Because they haven't gone into effect yet. I'm talking about like the
yeah
finishing Mori and base kit borrowed time, or base kit borrowed time's in there, but base kit unbreakable. What are your thoughts on those?
Yeah, I'm really mixed. Like on one hand, like so there's a few things. So first of all, I think it's cool that we'll be seeing Moris more often
Yeah.
because I never see Moris.
Hmm.
For one, I barely use them myself, and two, when I play Survivor, killers rarely use them, and if they do, a lot of times I'm not the one who gets moried, so I don't see them. So I think it'll be nice to see the killers Moris potentially every match, or at least the matches that you lose, or as killer, every time you win, you'll see a Mori, which is kind of
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, as far as base kit unbreakable, I think it is good and bad. I think it's good because getting left to bleed on the ground is boring
Yeah.
and it sucks. So it's nice to have that chance to just get up.
Hmm.
When the killer's trying to slug everybody or trying to slug for the 4K. On the flip side, the fact that you can run the perk unbreakable and you can get yourself up in like 20 seconds,
Yeah.
unlimited amount of times. I think that could be annoying if people are running, if it's like a full team with Sabo builds, and they're doing that boil
Oh,
over,
yeah.
run to the top of Eerie of Crows,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and make sure you can't get hooked. So you have to slug them, but now they can get up as many times as they want. So,
Yeah.
you're going to have situations like that where it's going to really suck. But if
Oh
you're
yeah.
not going against those teams, I feel like it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. But
Hmm.
I bet you when it happens, if it happens, that Unbreakable is going to become one of the most used perks in the game because
Yeah, I can see that.
people are going to want to get up
Yeah.
like in 20 seconds an infinite amount of times. Like that's just it's almost too good to not use.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I didn't play the PTB. I don't usually play the PTBs unless it's like new chapters or something. So I
Yeah.
just kind of watched a little bit, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not super for it. I'm not super against it. I'm sort of in the middle. I can see
Oh, okay.
I see the pros and the cons, and I think
Yeah.
there's good things and bad things. So I know
Yeah.
I've seen those. I've seen the videos of where there's nurses that end a game in like
Oh,
40 seconds
yeah.
because they.
Yeah.
But then when you think about it, the chances of that happening and the likelihood is pretty rare.
Yeah.
I feel like.
The way I see it too is not only is that super rare, but that can happen in live servers right now. A nurse
Yeah.
can end a game in 40 seconds, but now they in live servers they just have to put you on hooks and
Yeah.
then it ends. But
Right.
it's like not I don't see a ton changing. I think there's two things I want to see changed in terms of like the finishing Mori. In order to prevent those nurse 40-second trials, which won't really happen that often in the grand scheme of things, especially in like casual games where we have no way of knowing how much of the player base is super casual versus sweaty tryhards.
Yeah.
Um, but like the spawn points, I think, sure, put three survivors spawning into the trial together, but have one far away, and I think that takes care of those, nurse blight
Yeah.
speed runs. Um,
Yeah.
and also the finishing Mori, make it so that it activates after everybody's been hooked at least once, and once everybody's been hooked at least once, then you can finish the game through the
Yeah,
finishing Mori.
I think that's a super fair um compromise.
Hmm. Yeah, because like that way, at least like, especially in like if a team's on comms, they can be like, okay, well, she hasn't downed me yet. I'm gonna go run and hide in the corner, and and while she's
Yeah.
slugging, you guys get up infinite times with Unbreakable, and
Yeah.
hopefully that would prevent those speed runs. But those are just my only two additional thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I'm interested to see. I mean, I guess they don't really have, from what I've seen, they don't have an ETA or a specific
No,
date yet. They just kind of said,
in the
eventually.
yeah,
So maybe with the next chapter, maybe after that, who knows?
yeah. I wanted to talk to you too about you've got a Noed tattoo a little while back,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Got it right there.
That's super badass.
Yeah, it's part of
Now,
my part of my ghost face tattoo. Yeah.
that's amazing. Now you mentioned in your video when you talked about it, it's not really about so much about the perk, but it's like, what was it again? The artwork or the
Well, I mean, it's more about the sleeve that I have, like for this arm. It's a horror video game sleeve. So
yeah.
I have Michael Myers right here, and then I
Okay.
have one of the four kings from Dark Souls right here,
Okay.
and then I got Ghostface, which
Mm-hmm.
is horror, and then I got the little Noed piece with it, which would be Dead by Daylight, and yeah, it's more to symbolize like the impact Dead by Daylight has had on my
Right.
life.
Yeah.
Um, and I do love Noed. It's my favorite perk it's my favorite perk in the entire game. And I don't
Yeah.
all the whiny people in the community that are like, like
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. It's a perk that I enjoy, and I think the artwork is really. I think it's one of the coolest looking perks in the whole game too.
Mm-hmm.
I love the design of Noed. So
Oh yeah.
just to symbolize the fact that this game has done a lot for me and for my family, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it's changed my life. And so yeah, I did a subathon, and that was the main goal. Was if I hit this
Oh,
goal,
that's awesome.
if I hit this goal, I'll get a Noed tattoo, and I hit the goal. So I was like, well, I'm a man of my word. So here we go.
Right on. That's cool. You have a subathon coming up tomorrow. Now I'm not sure how soon I'll get
Yep.
this posted, but
Yeah.
what are there any crazy goals in that one?
So the main goal is for me to dye my hair blue and purple.
Okay.
And sort of the inspiration behind that is my son's hair is blue and purple. He decided at the end of last school year he wanted to dye his hair, so he did. It was like greenish blue,
Mm-hmm.
and then for this school year he wanted to do blue and purple.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be something. I was like trying to think of subathon goal ideas, and I was like, I've never dyed my hair, and it would also be kind of cool to match my son.
Oh, okay.
So I've been sort of growing the hair out a little
Oh,
bit, and
that's awesome.
if I hit the goal, I have to dye it blue and purple. And the goal right before or a couple before that is I have to do Survivor Rulebook November. So I have to do
Oh.
the entire month of November. I have
Yeah.
to play. I can't do any camping tunneling. I can't use Noed.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a painful month for me.
That will be. Yeah.
Because I'm not so good at following those rules.
Yeah, the
But yeah.
Survivor rulebook. Who wrote that anyway? Like who's
Just a bunch of entitled people who don't like to lose. That's it.
That's right. That's what
There is a killer rule book though. I mean,
Yeah.
there's definitely killers.
That's
don't
true.
gen rush. Don't crouch up and down. Don't use flashlights.
Yeah.
There's plenty of killers that have rule books too.
Oh yeah, you crouched once at me at the pallet you just dropped, and now you must die on first hook.
Dude, it was crazy too. The video that I teabagged, like I did like a 5 gen. It was a really good chase with a Legion, and then at the end he like was looking around like he lost me, and then he looked in my direction, and I was at the end of the hallway. So I did a quick 1-2.
Oh yeah.
Like, hey, I'm over here. Come chase me. I want to, like, there's one gen left. I want you to keep chasing me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think he liked that. So then he downed me, and then he tried to bleed me out.
Oh.
So he was like shaking his head and standing above me. But then I got adrenaline when the last gem was done. So then I pallet stunned him and I ran away. And then when he was chasing me out the exit gate, I did another 1-2 and then I left just to kind of be like, haha,
Oh yeah.
it was kind of it was like a back and forth. Like,
Yeah, you match their energy, right?
yeah, I just, it's so like people can have these emotes like in game kind of banter, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. And then you
Mhm.
have the majority of the DVD community who looks at it as like the biggest sin to mankind.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny to me too that they call it teabagging when
Mhm.
it's not teabagging.
Yeah.
The survivor is not putting their nuts on your face.
Oh,
Okay.
I could have sworn they did. I've got these marks on my forehead that
Yeah.
indicate
Dude,
otherwise.
Ghostface on the other Ghostface can properly do it.
Yeah,
The pig can properly do it.
that's true.
Even Trapper can do a little teabag with his
Yeah,
traps.
yeah,
But survivors cannot teabag you.
yeah,
It's not possible. Maybe Victor. That's kind
yeah,
of, I wouldn't recommend that. It's inappropriate, but
yeah. That's funny because like one of the people I really got along with in the community, we just met in a random trial, and I was Bubba on Old Haddonfield, and he was teabagging me, and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta finish this. I gotta finish this chase. Like this guy he wants to be chased. He's got a flashlight. He's clicking at me. I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I get it. We're vibing. We're having a good time.
Yeah.
And actually, one of my friends I interviewed on this podcast about a month ago, I was going through some of my old clips and I found one where I played against him a year ago and I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was, but it was the same thing. Him and his friends were getting flashlight saves on me. I was Bubba. And
Mhm.
I was like, oh, these guys are too good. Like, why am I in this lobby? They're way better than me. And I was
Yeah.
like, at the same time, I was just kind of like vibing off their energy. And I was like, okay, well, let's just I'll try chase them. If I get him, I get him. If I don't, I don't. Of course, I didn't. And at the end, I was like, oh, you little jerks. All right, you can go now. Like, they're styling on me in the exit gate, but it was all fun and games. Like, there was no hard feelings. And
It's how it should be. That's
yeah,
100% how it should be.
yeah.
And
So,
that's the biggest problem, and I talk about this a lot too, is the reason that there's so much like negativity is because people assume the intentions of the other side. So like
mhm,
for example, if you see a survivor teabagging, like you could assume, oh my god, this person they're mocking me, they want to make my life miserable, they want me to have a bad game. Like you can think all of this negative stuff. At the end of the day, you don't know
mhm,
who that is, you don't know what their intentions are. So what's the best thing that you could do? You could assume the best. You could assume, oh hey,
yeah,
this survivor's being cute, they're doing a little dance, they want me to chase them, they're probably the best survivor on the team and they want to take the aggro. Like there's
mhm,
so many more reasonable things that you can like rationalize
yeah,
the situation as opposed to just thinking of the worst possible thing and then just getting mad and then you're tilted and then you play worse because you're tilted and then you lose the game because you played worse because you were tilted and then now you're
yeah,
more tilted and now you're insulting people and it's just this vicious cycle all
yeah,
because an animated character in a video game crouched up and down a couple times. It just
yeah,
blows my mind.
yeah. When at the end of the day, nothing's going to happen at the end of the trial. You're not going to get $1,000. You're not going to get that Best Buy gift card. You're not going to get a free pizza. You're going to get some blood points. Then you're going to go do it again.
Dude, it's like I say, 12-year-olds die in Fortnite and get danced on every day,
Oh yeah,
constantly. Like
yeah,
full on emoted, you know what I mean? And
hmm
they don't cry the way people in Dead by Daylight do over
yeah,
over some crouching. It's crazy.
yeah. I've noticed that too. In I just started playing Overwatch again because Overwatch 2 is out, and I'll straight up like spray on people. Like you can put sprays in the ground and you can emote and stuff. I'll
Yeah.
do all that stuff, and not once have I received somebody getting mad at me. Nobody's sent me any private messages. Nobody's
Nope.
done any of that. Like at best, I'm like, if you suck and get good, like try it again. But
Dude,
beyond that,
it's the same thing in Rocket League. And Rocket League's kind of got a spicy community too, but
hmm
there's this thing people do is when they score on you, they'll spam this quick chat message, what a save.
oh
I don't know if
yeah,
you've ever seen that. They'll
I
just go,
have,
oh, what a save. And it's like a big thing. And,
yeah,
I've done that to people who they do it to me first. I do it to them. And it's just kind
yeah,
of this thing. And then you move on to the next game. I've never
yep,
gotten a private message from anybody from
hmm
doing that stuff. And it's just kind of like, it's just that whole
yeah,
keeping it in the game. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to go outside the game.
Yeah.
But for some reason, in Dead by Daylight, and Dead by Daylight is the only game I've ever played where it's been so bad, where it's like people just have this urge to like make it personal
Yeah.
and take it outside into reality.
Hmm.
And I just don't get it, especially
Yeah.
with because it's not an esport. And I'm not trying to offend people on Twitter who
Yeah.
are going to think I'm telling them they're not allowed to do tournaments, but
Hmm.
I don't think this game is meant to be like an esport.
It's not.
So
It's not Apex Legends. It's not
yeah,
Valorant.
it's exactly like
Yeah.
it's if you lose, you lose. If you
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, and I had a really nasty back and forth with somebody where I admitted fully we were both in the wrong for behaving the way we did in the post game chat, and then we took it to Twitter. Like I did something really just obnoxious and stupid and ridiculous, and I still get reminders of that about 2.5 years later. Like people will be like, "Weren't you that guy who said this about this person?" I'm like, "Yeah, but like,
that's exactly what I mentioned to you earlier about
yeah,
like not letting people grow, not letting
hmm
people learn and be
yeah,
better. It's exactly what that is.
yeah,
And that's more what I would define as cancel culture, like I said, where it's like people
hmm
just want to hold this thing over your head for the rest of your life.
yeah,
And obviously it depends on how bad it is. Like if it's,
hmm
something serious, then you probably deserve to be reminded of it. But if it's something
hmm
like super petty and whatever,
yeah,
you know,
oh yeah,
and
yeah,
you've changed and it's years ago, then I just don't.
yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, like I did say some stuff and do some stuff that was really out of bounds. I felt wronged, so I felt like I should fight back, and I took
Yeah,
it too far. And then I reached a point where I think I even said, I'm done with this. Like I really regret how far we took it. Like let's just put it in the past. And yeah,
yeah,
sure enough, that person sent me a message about 3 or 4 months ago with the same energy from 2.5 years ago, and I was like, maybe just chill a little bit. And I muted him, and
good
hopefully we'll never
God.
see another message from him again. But yeah,
Well,
it's
let's hope not. Some people
yeah,
just can't put that stuff to rest.
yeah. I guess it's easier that way for some, but I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but I want to be mindful of the time, so I think we can start to wrap things up here. But
Okay.
one of the things I like to do before letting my guests go is, why don't you talk about where people can find you, and like you're on YouTube, you're on Twitch, Twitter, very active on all those platforms. Where can they find
Yeah.
you, and what times and days and such?
Yeah. SpooknJukes on YouTube, Twitter. I didn't even say Twitch. Twitch, YouTube,
Yeah,
Twitter, TikTok. I'm trying to be more active on. Um, yeah, I stream on Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then I stream Fridays and Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern. And that's about it. If you want to listen
cool,
to my music, it's Villain of the Story on
great,
all platforms.
hmm
If you like rock music, check it out.
cool. All right, I'll do my best to put everything in the show notes of the podcast, and
Cool. You don't have to put the band stuff in there.
I don't. Okay,
You
okay,
don't have to. No.
okay. All right, I'll skip that. But yeah,
Yeah.
everything else I usually link in there. So yeah, again, thank you very much. This was really nice of you to do this with me, and I'm really excited to um, keep this journey going on Red Rank Podcast. I named it about a month before they changed the
Yeah.
ranks. It sucked so bad.
Now everybody's like, all the new players are like, what does red rank mean?
Yeah.
We're now the iridescent rank podcast.
Yeah. That just, to me, that sounds way worse. Like,
Oh yeah, it's a mouthful. Yeah.
it's so bad. I was like, what's something Dead by Daylight I could say? But I was like, somebody else had Into the Fog, and I'm All Ears is out there as well, kind of named after a perk, which is a very
Yeah.
clever podcast name. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just put Red Rank Podcast because that's like the top of the ranks,
I think
and
it's
I'll
a
be.
badass name. I think you can keep it. I think
Oh yeah, yeah. So
most people know.
yeah, it's just funny how it
I
works.
still call it red ranks. I don't call it iridescent.
Ah, I tr-
I
I bounce between
yeah.
the two.
I'll say Erie 1. Like if I get to iridescent 1, I'll say, "Oh, I'm Erie 1." But if I like once I get from gold to I say red. I say gold
Yeah.
to red ranks. I
So
just can't shake it.
when you're bragging at the local Starbucks, I'm Iridescent One,
Yeah.
Killer and Survivor. Made it
Yeah.
October 12th. Like, here's your latte, sir.
Exactly.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for your time. All the best to you and your family in the future. And yeah, take care.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.